Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please proceed to Nusantara Hall and to take your seats as we will begin momentarily. May we also remind you to please switch your mobile phones to silent mode and wear your mask throughout the event, please. For your kind information regarding the simultaneous interpretation, please note that Channel 1 is for English and Channel 2 is for Chinese. Thank you. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the arrival of Secretary General of ASEAN, His Excellency Dato Lim Jock Hoi, and State Counselor of the Foreign Ministers of the People's Republic of China, His Excellency Wang. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. We are delighted to welcome you to the ASEAN Secretariat for the policy speech by State Councilor and Foreign Ministers of the People's Republic of China, His Excellency Wang. Before we begin, we would like to kindly invite His Excellency Dato Lim Jock Hoi, Secretary General of ASEAN, to deliver his welcoming remarks. SG Dato, the floor is yours, please.
His Excellency Wang Yi, State Councilor and Foreign Ministers, People's Republic of China, Excellency, Permanent Representative for ASEAN, Ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great honor and pleasure that I warmly welcome State Councilor, Foreign Ministers Wang Yi. I'm delighted with the ease of COVID-19 situation, we are able to host this important event today at the ASEAN Secretariat. Following the visit of Premier Li Keqiang in May 2018, we very much appreciate the presence of State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi as renewal of China's commitment to support ASEAN. China has long been an important partner for ASEAN, and our relations took a major step forward with the establishment of this strategic partnership in 2003. A significant component of our relations is trade and economic cooperation. For the past 12 years, China has consistently ASEAN's largest trading partners, and we remain committed to strengthen our economic cooperation for shared prosperity and mutual benefit. China's tremendous economic progress has greatly contributed to the region's overall growth, including that of ASEAN. China's commitment to an open, rule-based multilateral trading system and its continued growth prospect will not only benefit the people of China, but all of us in the region, and in fact, globally. The signing and subsequent implementation of RCEP agreement is therefore a testament to our belief and efforts to ensure market openness and to facilitate trade and investment in the region. We also continue to deepen our political dialogue through various ASEAN-led mechanisms, promoting sustainable development, cooperation, while nurturing greater friendship between our people through people-to-people exchanges. Notably, China's support and assistance to ASEAN during the difficult times of COVID-19 pandemic is very much appreciated. And we look forward to further strengthening our collaboration towards a comprehensive, inclusive, and sustainable recovery in the region, including through the implementation of the ASEAN Comprehensive Recovery Framework. Constructively, we shape the prospect of enduring peace and stability in the region. With the establishment of ASEAN Comprehensive Strategic Partnership last year, we jointly invest towards making partnerships substantive, meaningful, and mutually beneficial. Once again, I would like to extend my appreciation to His Excellency for carving out an opportunity to see us in ASEAN Secretariat as part of the visits to the region. I believe our events today add value in advancing ASEAN-China Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. Without further ado, it is with great pleasure that I invite State Councillor and Foreign Minister Wang to deliver his policy speech. Thank you.
Mask. 尊敬的东盟秘书长，
Your
我的
Excellency,
老朋友，也是好朋
Dato
友，
Lim Jock Hoi, Secretary General of ASEAN, also my
尊敬
good
的
friend,
东盟各国常驻代表，
permanent representatives of ASEAN member states, fellow diplomats and friends.
非常高兴
I'm
有
delighted
机会再次
to join
时隔多年到访
so many
秘
friends
书处，
at the
同各位新老朋友通过
ASEAN
加大渠
Secretariat
道
after
共话
my last visit many years ago, and
首
to
先，我
meet
谨
so
代
many
表中
friends
国政
both
府
old and new
对
at the
东盟
ASEAN
迎来
Secretariat in
50岁的
renewing our friendship and advancing cooperation
对所
through
有
the Jakarta
关心
channel.
支持中国东盟合作的朋友们，
Let me
衷心的感谢。
say a big thank you to all the friends for your interest in and support for China-ASEAN cooperation, and also express our warm congratulations on the 55th birthday of ASEAN.
发展
My topic today is upholding peace, development, independence, and
坚定践
inclusiveness,
行
and renewing the firm commitment to open regionalism.
中国与东盟山水
China and ASEAN are linked by
我们
mountains
始
and
终是命运共
waters,
的
as well as hearts and aspirations. We are always good neighbors, good friends, and good partners with a shared
东
future.
盟国家是
I have been personally engaging with ASEAN for more than 3 decades. In recent years, I have visited ASEAN countries almost every year and met with ASEAN foreign ministers frequently.
中国东盟
Through
关
my
系
travels and engagement, I can keenly aware of the rapid and phenomenal development of China-ASEAN relations.
在习近平主席
Over the past 10 years in particular, thanks to the strategic guidance and personal commitment of President Xi Jinping and leaders of ASEAN countries,
快车
China-ASEAN relations have entered the fast lane and made accelerating progress.
回首过往，
In retrospect, the most encouraging development was that China-ASEAN relations have stayed ahead in many
我
areas.
们率先同东盟
China was the first to forge a strategic partnership with ASEAN, the first to join the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation in Southeast Asia,
率先同东
the
盟
first to start an FTA negotiation with ASEAN, the first to give unequivocal support for ASEAN centrality in regional cooperation,
王也是率
and
先
the first to publicly express its willingness to sign the protocol
无核武器区
to the Southeast Asia nuclear weapon-free
东
zone.
盟的同事，
My ASEAN colleagues have told me
中国和东盟
that among ASEAN's dialogue partners, China has the most vibrant and productive ties with ASEAN.
活力最富成果的一段关系。最令人感动的，
The most touching event
同心抗疫，
was China and ASEAN countries standing together in solidarity to fight
东
COVID-19.
盟国家第一时间
When China was hit first by the virus, ASEAN countries immediately expressed solidarity and support and donated in cash and in kind to tide us over the trying time.
中国
When ASEAN countries were affected by the pandemic, China did its best to help ASEAN brothers fend off the
及
virus,
时提供
including sharing COVID response experience without reservation
打造
and providing timely vaccine assistance.
双方的抗疫合作，
Our cooperation against COVID-19 was a vivid testament to our deep friendship through thick and thin. Together, we have set a good example of working together to beat the virus.
最令人振奋的
The most heartening progress was the thriving economic cooperation and trade between China
中
and
国与东盟
ASEAN.
已经互为最
We
大
are
的
each other's largest trading partner. Our trade volume
较
has
30 年
soared
前
100 times from 30 years
双方
before.
直接投资额
Our
已
two-way
累计
direct
超过
investment has
3000 亿
exceeded 300 10 billion US dollars. The China-Laos Railway is up and running. Good progress has been made in the Jakarta-Bandung high-speed railway, the China-Thailand Railway, the China-Malaysia and China-Indonesia twin industrial parks, and a number of other Belt and Road projects. The most gratifying achievement was that China-ASEAN Security Cooperation has been making steady progress. With full implementation of the DOC and positive progress in the consultation of a COC, differences and disputes are being effectively managed. The situation on the sea has remained stable on the whole, and there has been no problem with the freedom of navigation and overflight. Military and security exchanges have deepened, and fruitful cooperation has been carried out in non-traditional security areas such as counterterrorism, climate response, cybersecurity, combating transnational crime, and disaster preparedness and reduction. In commemoration of the 30th anniversary of China-ASEAN dialogue relations, President Xi Jinping and ASEAN leaders jointly announced the establishment of a China-ASEAN comprehensive strategic partnership, bringing our relationship to a new height. He also made 5 proposals on building our home together, pointing the way forward for the growth of China-ASEAN relations. This year is the first year for building the China-ASEAN Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. We should get off to a good start, make solid steps, and lead the way forward. We should get united and join hands to keep China-ASEAN cooperation at the forefront of the times and galvanize stronger force for peace and progress. Friends, this year marks the 55th anniversary of ASEAN. Over the past 55 years, ASEAN has embarked on an extraordinary development path, from early inception to steady growth in size and strength. Meanwhile, the past 55 years was also a golden era of Asia's rise and takeoff. With concerted efforts of all countries in the region, Asia has become a highland of development and promising land for cooperation. Recently, the Boao Forum for Asia published the Asian Economic Outlook and Integration Progress Annual Report, which pointed out that in 2021, Asia is the first to recover amid the global pandemic, and that Asia became an important engine for global economic growth. Early this year, RCEP, the world's largest free trade area, officially went into effect, injecting strong impetus to regional development. With concerted efforts of all countries in the region, Asia is also becoming a fine example of global governance. Most notably, a number of key multilateral events will be held in Asia this year. China has successfully hosted the BRICS Summit. Cambodia, Indonesia, and Thailand will host the leaders' meetings on East Asia cooperation, the G20 Summit, and the APEC Economic Leaders Meeting, respectively. The world's attention is turning to the Asian region. Global governance has ushered in the moment of Asia, and the international community needs to listen more attentively to the voice of Asia. Our region has secured such remarkable achievements and created exceptional miracles in growth, most fundamentally because countries in the region have adhered to open regionalism. Respected and appreciated the diversities among members, and upheld and practiced the principle of voluntarism. We have advanced regional economic integration through free trade, promoted regional and sub-regional cooperation via equal consultation, and developed networks of friends worldwide with an open mindset. Asia is now standing at a new historical starting point and facing unprecedented development opportunities. We must also be aware that the world today is not peaceful. There are 2 completely different trends concerning the future of Asia. One advocates open regionalism, true multilateralism, a development-first approach, and mutually beneficial cooperation. It aims to help countries in the region emerge from the pandemic and achieve all-round development as soon as possible. The other pursues a relapse into the obsolete Cold War mentality and closed group politics, and classifies countries in the region based on their values. It attempts to divide the regional economy into different blocks and even apply the NATO approach to Asia-Pacific security. The choice we make today determines where the path will take us from now on. Openness or isolation, cooperation or confrontation, solidarity or division, progress or regression. It will have a fundamental and far-reaching impact on the future of all countries in the region. As the Chinese saying goes, advancing with the times opens up new horizons. Both history and reality show that a country or region, for that matter, can only make progress when it follows the trend of the times. Therefore, China chooses to join hands with ASEAN members and other regional countries to adhere to the vision of peace, development, independence, and inclusiveness, firmly uphold open regionalism, and by drawing experience and wisdom from Asian civilizations and practices, constantly add new dimensions to open regionalism. We need to always uphold the concept of peaceful coexistence. In history, China lived in harmony with Southeast Asian countries and other neighbors, living touching stories of good neighborliness and enduring friendship. In the 1950s, we together advocated the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence, under which all countries enjoy rights to peace, regardless of their size and strength. Over the past half-century, the region has developed the ASEAN way, or an Asian way, underpinned by major principles such as mutual respect, consensus building, and accommodating the comfort levels of all parties. It has established a diversified and multi-layered security architecture and fostered a proactive thinking of pursuing common, cooperative, and comprehensive security. All this has laid a solid foundation for lasting peace in Asia. At present, frequent international security crises are sounding the alarm for mankind. It is a stark reminder that peace should never be taken for granted and must be carefully preserved and cherished. We should never allow any attempt to extend geopolitical conflicts or block confrontation to Asia, nor do we want to see any sanction, blockade, or humanitarian crisis in this part of the world. Not long ago, President Xi put forth the Global Security Initiative, offering China's solution to global peace deficit and global security dilemma. It is necessary that we unequivocally champion the vision of common, comprehensive, cooperative, and sustainable security. We need to stay committed to safeguarding the sovereignty and territorial integrity of all countries, taking seriously the legitimate security concerns of all countries, and resolving differences and disputes in a peaceful way through dialogue and consultation, in a bid to protect our shared home and defend our fundamental interest in peace and stability.
We need to always uphold the goal of development and rejuvenation. For a long period of time in history, the Asian economy accounted for over half of the world's total. In modern times, however, its development stagnated and fell behind. Today, the valve to Asia's development and progress is fully open, unleashing a strong momentum of rejuvenation and prosperity in the region. In only one generation's time, Asia doubled its share of global GDP and transformed itself from a low-income
中等收入的跃进。亚洲的发展是亚洲各国人民勤勤恳恳干出来的。我们没有搞
We never committed colonial plunder or moved the cheese of any country outside the region, still less trying to replace or drive away anyone.
我们只想让
All we want
人民
is to bring a better life to our
更加
peoples.
幸福的生活。
At present, the Asian economy is facing growing risks, with disruptions to the stability of regional industrial supply chains and unabated noises of decoupling and severing supply chains. The Global Development Initiative, GDI, put forward by President Xi Jinping, has forged consensus and strength for the collective efforts of the international community to meet challenges, drive global economic recovery, and accelerate the implementation of the UN's 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. It is necessary that we continue to be development-oriented, form a right perception of each other's development, and share development opportunities, work together to fund the multilateral trading regime with the WTO as the cornerstone, ensure a free and open global market, and promote integrated economic development. We need to always uphold the principle of independence. In modern times, regional countries, including China and ASEAN members, had suffered from colonization and aggression. We achieved national independence and liberation after tenacious struggles. We value the hard-won independence like our life. We hope that we can independently choose political systems and development paths, independently pursue foreign and defense policies, and independently decide on the pathway and pace in participating in economic globalization and advancing regional integration. ASEAN countries have initiated and led Asia's regional cooperation mechanisms. Their independence and centrality has been widely respected by countries within and outside the region. At present, many countries in the region, including ASEAN countries, are under the pressure to take sides. And the strategic environment in the region risks being reshaped by political factors. It is necessary that we continue to uphold independence, respect each other's sovereignty and core interests, and respect the integrity, independence, and leading role of ASEAN as a community. We should insulate this region from geopolitical calculations and the trap of the law of the jungle, from being used as chess pieces in major power rivalry, and from coercion by hegemony and bullying. Our future and the future of our region should be in our own hands. We need to always uphold the spirit of openness and inclusiveness. Openness and inclusiveness are inherent in the genes of regional civilizations. They're also the keys to the regional economic miracle. More than 60 years ago at the Bandung Conference, countries in this region made a just call for seeking common ground while shelving differences and pursuing peaceful coexistence. Since the end of the Cold War, as pioneers in globalization and pace-setters of free trade, countries in this region have embraced the world with greater openness, supported each other with an inclusive spirit, and ensured together the economic takeoff of Asia. At present, despite current headwinds, globalization keeps surging forward, as it is still the prevailing trend. Seclusion and isolation will only lead to rigidity and backwardness, while inclusiveness and openness will bring mutual benefit and win-win results. It is necessary that we promote harmony without uniformity, embrace diversity in coexistence, and reject the attempt to split the region into confrontational or exclusive groups. We should uphold true multilateral regional cooperation that unites countries within the region and remains open to countries outside, and reject the kind of fake regional cooperation that keeps certain countries out and targets certain side. We believe that the Asia-Pacific is big enough for all regional countries to pursue their development and at the same time promote common development, and that all can prosper respectively and collectively. As the world's largest developing country and an important member in Asia, China has always followed a path of peaceful development and a win-win strategy of opening up. We pursue friendship and partnership with our neighbors, seek an amicable, secure, and prosperous neighborhood, and follow a neighborhood policy featuring amity, sincerity, mutual benefit, and inclusiveness. We hope to champion open regionalism together with ASEAN and deepen our comprehensive strategic partnership. China will continue to support ASEAN centrality and promote solidarity and cooperation in the region. ASEAN is at the center of all ASEAN Plus concentric circles of regional cooperation. China firmly supports ASEAN's role in the driver's seat, supports ASEAN community building, and supports the ASEAN-centered regional cooperation architecture. China welcomes ASEAN's efforts to formulate a post-2025 vision for the ASEAN community. We are ready to assist ASEAN countries in achieving their development goals by tapping into such resources as the Global Development and South-South Cooperation Fund and the China-ASEAN Cooperation Fund. We'll also scale up input into the initiative for ASEAN integration, Lantang-Mekong cooperation, and BIMPIAGA to help close the development gap in the region. ASEAN has stressed on many occasions that its outlook on the Indo-Pacific is an independent initiative that commits to openness and inclusiveness and focuses on dialogue, cooperation, and economic development, that it is not subservient to or targeted against any party. China appreciates this position. We'd like to increase synergy and cooperation with ASEAN on the implementation of the outlook to produce cooperation outcomes at an early date. China will continue to call for settling differences in Asian way and uphold regional peace and stability. We will work with other countries in the region to implement the Global Security Initiative and deepen cooperation in defense, counterterrorism, joint maritime research and rescue and exercise, combating transnational crimes and disaster management. We hope to blaze a new path of security that chooses dialogue over confrontation, partnerships over alliances, and win-win over zero-sum game, and put into practice principles for how neighbors may get along, trust as the basis, the greater good as priority, and sincerity in the interaction. China and ASEAN countries are expediting the COC consultations, which will serve as solid institutional safeguards for more effective management of differences, more vigorous advancement of cooperation, and more active joint governance of the South China Sea. We'll continue to support ASEAN's efforts in building a nuclear weapon-free zone and reaffirm here that China is ready to sign the protocol to the Treaty of Southeast Asia Nuclear Weapon-Free Zone at any time. China will continue to pursue firmly its open strategy for development and promote regional economic integration. We will speed up the importing of $150 billion worth of ASEAN agricultural goods, bringing more high-quality products from ASEAN countries, and encourage more Chinese companies to make the ASEAN their top investment destination. We'll continue to promote post-COVID recovery, advance the development of demonstration zones for Belt and Road international industrial capacity cooperation, enhance the resilience of industrial and supply chains in the region, and ensure smooth trade flows across the border. We are ready to launch a new round of upgrade of the China-ASEAN Free Trade Area as soon as possible and implement the RCEP across the board and promote its upgrade in due course. China remains firm in its resolve to join the CPTPP and DIPA. Our resolve is firm in this regard, and we are ready to sign high-standard free trade agreements with more countries. China looks forward to closely integrating the development of the Hainan Free Trade Port and the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area and China-ASEAN cooperation, and supports Hong Kong and Macau in engaging in more extensive and closer exchanges of cooperation with ASEAN countries. China will continue to resolutely advance cooperation in science, technology, and innovation to stimulate new drivers of development in the region. We have formulated the plan of action to implement the partnership on digital economy cooperation. China will earnestly implement this plan of action with a focus on increasing input in digital infrastructure and digital transformation in this region, deepen practical cooperation in e-commerce, actively facilitating dialogue on digital governance and coordination and harmonization of rules
and strengthening digital connectivity. We are ready to, through the Belt and Road Partnership on Green Development and the Bio-Circular Green BCG model, explore cooperation on low-carbon, circular and green economy, and jointly build platforms for cooperation in clean energy, science and technology. We will advance barrier and discrimination-free scientific and technological innovation that transcends borders. We will implement well the China-ASEAN Science, Technology and Innovation Enhancing Program, speed up talent cultivation and technology transfer to provide a constant source of strength for high-quality economic growth and accelerate regional transformation and development. China will continue to carry forward Asian values and deepen the bonds of friendship among peoples in the region. The older generation of leaders of ASEAN countries insightfully summarized Asian values as cherishing family, community, consensus, and morality. And China feels the same way. We are ready to work with ASEAN to carry forward and practice Asian values, rise above the zero-sum mentality, and deepen our brotherly bond of sharing will and woe in a spirit of solidarity and partnership. China will adopt more measures to facilitate the flow of people and discuss the launch of tourism recovery plans with all sides at a proper time. We support the development of an ASEAN travel corridor. In a post-COVID era, we will proactively step up exchanges in culture and between the youth, subnational entities, media, and women to promote mutual understanding, amity, and affinity between our peoples. Friends, ASEAN's motto, one vision, one identity, one community, is also a portrayal of the region's spirit of seeking strength through unity. In the new era, China is ready to work with ASEAN member states and other countries in the region to uphold peace, independence, development, and inclusiveness, and resolutely practice open regionalism. Together, we will build a common homeland that enjoys peace, tranquility, prosperity, beautiful environment, and friendship, and write a new chapter of regional cooperation and Asian vitalization. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, State Councillor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Please kindly remain on the podium as we will proceed with the Q&A session. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, due to State Councillor's very tight schedule, we would open the floor for 3 questions. Please raise your hand, mention your name and the institution you represent when posing the question. May we have the first question, please? Yeah, gentleman in the 5th row on my left side. Please identify yourself first. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Taufik Rahman. I'm from the Jakarta Post, one of national and regional newspaper in Indonesia. State Councillor and Minister Wang Yi, I think media serve a very important role in connecting policies and the people. And I think your ambassador in Jakarta, Ambassador Deng Shijun and bilateral Ambassador Lu Kang has known this very well. They have regularly discussed with us in a number of policy to elaborate China's policy on various issues, and we really welcome that because this is very important to monitor the development in the region. And we're very glad to hear your speech on China regional policy, which features open regionalism. This is positive and really encouraging. And my question is this. In light of recent development, the US, along with Australia and other countries, has stepped up its effort to make more presence in the region, in Asia Pacific, and especially also expanding their influence. What is your view on this? Thank you.
感谢你的问题，我希望媒体之间可以更加频繁地加强相互的交往。
We do hope there could be more exchanges with the media.
东盟各国的媒体同仁们更多的了解。
And we do hope we could have more communication with media
进步，
so that you could learn more about China's strategic development
更好的发展的机遇。
and seize the opportunities presented by China.
关系的问题，
As for your question, I know it is of great interest
对于
to many people.
其他国家参与我们这个地区的事务，我们历来持开放的态度。
As for other countries' participation in Asia-Pacific affairs, we are always open to it.
是有利于
The key is to see whether their behavior is good for regional peace and stability,
紧张和对抗，
or are they trying to
是
create
有利于我们地区
tensions
的
or
发展正
confrontation? Are they trying to improve the region's development and rejuvenation, or are they trying to
是有利于增进
decouple
我
and
们
cut
地
off
区的团结合
supplies?
作，还是
Are they trying to enhance regional unity and cooperation, or are they trying to reinvent the wheel or even create division?
地区各国人民
I believe that people in this region have a
历
yardstick
史也会
in their
借此
mind, and history will give its fair assessment.
昨天我在巴厘岛
Well, 2 days ago,
前天吧，同美国
the
国
day
务卿
before
本
yesterday,
先生
I was in Bali
举行了一个长时
having
间
a
的一个
very lengthy meeting with the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken, and I told the US side very
中美双
solemnly
方是否可以考虑
that our two sides should consider
在亚太地区
discuss the establishment of rules for positive interactions in the Asia
开放
Pacific
矩阵。
and to uphold
这个规则
jointly
的核心的要素
open regionalism.
就是
The core
支持
elements
动物
are to support ASEAN
维护
centrality,
现有
uphold the existing regional cooperation framework,
尊重中美彼此
respect
在亚太的正当
each other's legitimate rights and interests in the Asia Pacific instead of aiming to antagonize or
自觉地发挥
contain the other side.
负责任的大国作用，
It is also important to play the role as a major responsible country,
更多的
promote regional stability and development, and provide more public goods to the region.
中美如果能够在亚太地区实现良性互动，
If China and the US can have sound interactions in the Asia Pacific,
释放中美关系的正面的，
it could help release
也符
the
合
positive energy
这个地区所有国家的
and also
普遍的期望。
meets the expectation of all regional countries.
对中国的建议，
So we look forward to the feedback of the US side to the Chinese
中
proposal.
美能否良性互动，
Whether China and the US can have positive interaction
美国
is also a test of whether the US can rise above its hegemonic mentality,
零和博弈，
give up its Cold War thinking, discard zero-sum logic,
和平
and take concrete actions to play a constructive role in peace and prosperity in the Asia Pacific. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency. May
非常
we
感谢
invite
阁
the
下的
second question, please.
Morning and thank you very much, Minister. My name is Sumadi Broto Tiningrat, a retired Foreign Service Officer of Indonesia, and today I'm representing the Morning, Minister. My name is Sumadi Broto Tiningrat. I am a retired Indonesian Foreign Service Officer, and today I'm representing the Foreign Policy Community of Indonesia, an independent and non-partisan civil society. First, I would like to express my appreciation to my good friend, Secretary General Lim Jock Hoi, for the invitations, and of course, to you, Minister, for your very clear messages in your presentation. Nonetheless, I feel it a bit sinful to let go an opportunity to have an interactive with you, sir. A rare opportunity for me. That's why allow me only to have just one question. Mr. Minister, as you have mentioned, and also it's also mentioned by the Secretary General, for a long years, ASEAN and China has already initiated and developed many economic cooperation schemes. And both of us are benefiting from it. And you yourself already acknowledged, Mr. Minister, that collectively and also individually, now for the ASEAN countries, China becomes the largest economic partner. But now, as the world is confronting with a very difficult challenge, and more specifically in energy crisis, the food crisis, the supply chains disruptions and inflations, those are at the unprecedented dimension, and those are unanticipated predicament when we develop our past cooperations. So please, I would like to appreciate your more specific wisdom on how we will pursue our cooperations so as, at least at the short term, could help all of us in our difficult struggle to get a post-pandemic recovery. Thank you very much, Mr. Minister.
帮助促进全球复苏能够发挥怎样的作用？
我理解这位朋友提的问题的核心是中国和东盟经济合作能够为
economic cooperation, what kind of role will such cooperation
发挥什么样的作用？
play to address the most difficult and acute economic challenges that we face?
分别为全球
China is the second largest economy in the world. ASEAN is the fifth largest. Combined, our economies take up over 1/5 of the world's total, and we contribute to over 30% to global economic growth. So we are already the major engine for world economic recovery in every sense. So I do believe that, first of all, we need to have a clear recognition of
我们认为全球经济复苏
our role and standing. For the global economy to recover, first of all, we need to overcome the impact of the pandemic, first and foremost. China and ASEAN countries have conducted effective cooperation in this area. We were the first to put the pandemic under control, and we have created the conditions for the economy to reopen and recover as quickly as possible. Because of our recovering economy, of course, China and ASEAN are providing the valuable confidence to the world. For global economic recovery, we need to focus on cooperation on development. During my visit this time with the 5 Lantau Mekong countries' foreign ministers, the 6 of us agreed to build a more resilient Lantau Mekong economic belt. With the Laos and Thailand, we discussed this vision of connecting the railways between China, Laos, and Thailand to bring tourists southward and to bring products northward. And with the new land and sea trade corridor, reach all the way to Europe. Our friends in the Laos and Thailand show great interest and expressed their support.
跟统筹部长以及印尼的朋友们
In Indonesia, with the Minister for Coordination and many other Indonesian friends, we engaged in discussions and reached a series of important common understandings on further cooperation. So in today's world that is fraught with instability, uncertainty, and insecurity, China and ASEAN must work together to focus and concentrate on development. This itself is an important contribution that we make to the recovery of the world economy. For the global economy to recover,
It also requires China-ASEAN to follow the trend of globalization to ensure stability of industrial and supply chains, and to promote trade and investment, liberalization and facilitation. To this end, we need to put in greater efforts to advance RCEP so that it can make an impact as early as possible and enter into force as early as possible. It is expected to drive almost 3% of global trade. And in 5 years, it will contribute to 1.5% of global growth. So, amid this cold wave against globalization, our commitment, our persistence are a warm breeze to the world. For world economic recovery, we need to find new driving force. And in this area, China and ASEAN, we are at the forefront as well. We are playing an active role. For example, we are keeping abreast with the fourth technological transformation in digital economy, green economy. We are working at a deep level. Our e-commerce cooperation is booming so rapidly. Countries in the region and our peoples are benefiting a lot, and we are seeing a more vibrant economy. So our cooperation is leading East Asia on track toward becoming the fastest-growing digital economic market in the world. So all in all, we stand ready to work with ASEAN friends to promote high-quality Belt and Road cooperation, to build China-ASEAN cooperation and take this cooperation to a higher level, to the greater benefits to the people in China and ASEAN countries, and also to make our greater contribution to accelerated recovery of the world economy, so that we can recover together and we can recover stronger, which is the theme of the G20 presidency of Indonesia. Let's contribute our share to it. Thank you.
May we invite the last question, please? Yes, the lady. Please identify yourself. Thank you.
谢谢。王各位好，我是凤凰卫视的记者高棉。那么当前呢，台海局势呢日益严峻复杂，引起国际社会的高度关注。我的问题是呢，您认为呢，造成目前台海局势高度紧张的政治和根源是什么？中方呢将如何维护台海的和平稳定？
台海稳定的第一个前提
across the Taiwan Strait is underpinned by the One China principle. History and reality have shown repeatedly that when the One China principle is fully recognized and earnestly observed, the Taiwan Strait will remain peaceful, and the two sides across the strait will enjoy peaceful development. But when the One China principle is arbitrarily challenged or even sabotaged, there will be dark clouds or even ferocious storms across the strait. The current tensions in the Taiwan Strait are fundamentally caused by the DPP authorities who abandoned the 1992 consensus that reflects the One China principle, undermined cross-strait relations, the foundation of cross-strait relations peaceful development, and they are walking further down the path of relying on foreign countries to seek independence. In the meantime, the United States, by distorting and hollowing out the One China policy, is trying to play the Taiwan card to disrupt and contain China's development. Now everyone is talking about the need to uphold the status quo or not to change the status quo. Then what is the status quo of the Taiwan question? We need to set the record straight. There is only one China to which both sides of the Taiwan Strait belong. Taiwan is part of the Chinese territory. Although the two sides have been politically against each other for a long time, China's state sovereignty and territorial integrity has never been split. This is the real status quo of the Taiwan question. This has not changed from the ancient times to the present day, and it is a status quo that cannot change. Those that are challenging and undermining the status quo are the DPP authorities that seek independence and some foreign external forces who try to contain China with Taiwan. Let me reiterate that the Taiwan question is the core of China's core interests. To uphold the country's territorial integrity and sovereignty is the unshakable responsibility of every Chinese. No people or force or country should have any illusion about splitting Taiwan from China. The One China principle is also a basic principle for China to establish diplomatic ties with other countries. It constitutes part of the Second World War, post-World War international order. We hope that all countries could fully recognize the serious danger of Taiwan independence and work with China to uphold the One China principle. The more unequivocal we are about upholding the One China principle and the more forceful our measures are to contain and prevent separation, the more likely it is to ensure peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait and peace and prosperity in the region. I also want to point out that recently the U.S. has been emphasizing repeatedly the need to uphold the sovereignty and territorial integrity of every country. I've heard this many times. Given America's past record, we take seriously this statement from the United States because that is consistent with the basic norms of international relations and the purposes and the principles of the UN Charter. But we must stress one thing. The U.S. cannot practice double standards or constantly renege on its promises or flip-flop on its positions. China's sovereignty and territorial integrity should equally be respected and upheld. In particular, it is about whether the United States as a major country can uphold its international credibility.
Thank you very much, State Councillor and
非常感谢王玉国委员兼外长，
for answering the questions. We would like to kindly invite State Councillor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi to please kindly return to your seat. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please give another round of applause to State Councillor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Thank you very much, Excellency. Excellencies, we would like to express our sincere appreciation to State Councillor and Foreign Ministers of the Republic of China, His Excellency Wang Yi, for gracing the occasion. At this point, we would like to request everyone to remain seated while the State Councillor takes his leave. Ladies and gentlemen, before your departure from the venue, please kindly leave your headset from the chair. The Chinese mission has prepared lunch boxes for the guests attending today's event, and please take one at the entrance of the lobby. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Since its inaugural edition in 2020, the ASEAN-China Friendship and Cooperation Short Video Contest has attracted a total of 52,246 entries from young video creators from China and the 10 ASEAN member states. These works have garnered almost 80 million views on Weibo, Kuaishou, Facebook, YouTube, and other social platforms, generating 280 million discussions among netizens. These short videos shed light on the long-standing friendship between China and ASEAN countries, showcase the pragmatic cooperation between the two sides, and focus on joint efforts to fight the pandemic. They lead viewers through a cloud journey from Chinese to ASEAN cities. They are our shared treasure. At present, China and ASEAN have established a comprehensive strategic partnership, which is a new milestone in the history of bilateral relationship and will inject new impetus to the peace, stability, and prosperity of the region and the world. In retrospect, previous award-winning entires have highlighted the vision of building a peaceful, safe, and secure, prosperous, beautiful, and amicable home together. Today, the third ASEAN-China Friendship and Cooperation Short Video Contest is coming. Let's look forward to seeing even more fantastic entires sharing stories of happy and prosperous lives of people in China and ASEAN countries. since its inaugural edition in 2020. The ASEAN-China Friendship and Cooperation Short Video Contest has attracted a total of 52,246 entries from young video creators from China and the 10 ASEAN member states. These works have garnered almost 80 million views on Weibo, Kuaishou, Facebook, YouTube, and other social platforms, generating 280 million discussions among netizens. These short videos shed light on the long-standing friendship between China and ASEAN countries, showcase the pragmatic cooperation between the two sides, and focus on joint efforts to fight the pandemic. They lead viewers through a cloud journey from Chinese to ASEAN cities. They are our shared treasure. At present, China and ASEAN have established a comprehensive strategic partnership, which is a new milestone in the history of bilateral relationship and will inject new impetus to the peace, stability, and prosperity of the region and the world. In retrospect, previous award-winning entires have highlighted the vision of building a peaceful, safe, and secure, prosperous, beautiful, and amicable home together. Today, the third ASEAN-China Friendship and Cooperation Short Video Contest is coming. Let's look forward to seeing even more fantastic entires.
Welcome. My name is Calvin Cole, FPCI Research Associate and Program Coordinator of ASEAN-China Survey. We just watched and heard the speech of State Councilor and Foreign Minister of Wang. And now, let's have a brief discussion about the speech itself. I'm not alone, of course. I'm here with a very distinguished speakers. First, I would like to introduce Bapak Dino, the Deputy Chief Missions.
Hi.
Hello, Pak.
Hello. Hi.
Long way from Beijing.
Yeah, it's a long way from Beijing, and my job here is actually to follow up on whatever the foreign minister's visit here to do, because it's responsibility of the embassy to follow up on all those developments.
Perfect, Pak. Perfect. And we have Pak Bambang.
Hi.
How are you, Pak?
Hi, thank you.
Pak Bambang here as the member of FPCI China Policy Group and also the former PEMRED or CEO of Tempo. Thank you, Pak.
Thank you.
And then we have sinologist, Dr. Johannes. Pak, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
Good, from Pelita Harapan University. Now, let's get straight to the first question. You know, the speech length was around 40 minutes, gentlemen. And the first question that everybody would ask, what is your take? What is your observation? Maybe I'd like to go first to Pak Bambang and then to Pak Dino. Pak Bambang, how about you?
Well, I like this speech because this speech, in time of the trouble we have now in the global world, seems to stress more on hope than fears. Yeah, because he came up with a new plan, which is GDI and GCI, global development. So, which is basically a plan to recover our development because of the pandemic and all these problems. And the second is on the global security. We have now the problem in Ukraine and Russia, and it's reference to all over the world. We just heard in Sri Lanka where the presidential palace has been by people. Yeah, they raided by the people. So it's nice to hear from one of the biggest country in the world, the foreign minister actually come up with a plan how to get out from all this mess. So it's a sign of hope.
Sign of hope.
And but also there is also a little bit of course, some sort of precaution, especially on one thing. I think it's nice to hear that 2 days ago, China and US have a dialogue in Bali, our country, and both come up with a positive sign, yeah? And they both seem to agree on the need of that everybody has to adhere to the national integrity, national territorial integrity. Everybody has to respect that. Of course, from the US side, it's mean actually it's against Putin and Russia, but to China, it's actually for Taiwan. But on this level, I think they both have this. Now suddenly, these two countries that 2 years ago have a trade war, now suddenly we have something in common here. We have to go back to the international agreement that everybody has to respect sovereignty. Of course, in this sense, China means, hey, Taiwan is China, right? But for US, hey, you cannot invade another country and support that country. So this similarity, I hope, which grew in Bali, will grow bigger and stronger. Because if it does, I think the big hope is this economy going back. I just heard from our DCEM in China here that last year our trade balance is positive for Indonesia and growing almost 60%.
Wow.
Yeah, and in our history, in Indonesian history, Majapahit Sriwijaya, when China and India prosper and rule the world, Indonesia benefit. Because you have to remember, twice in our history, Indonesia is a global class state. Yeah, Sriwijaya is global class state, and at that time, Majapahit also. Yeah, and we don't also have to fear China because at one point, only one point in our history, China sent 1,000 boats to invade at that time.
With Mongols.
Yeah, with Mongols. But we beat them up, and because of that, actually Majapahit rise into a big global government. So, if you look at history, we feel safe, And if we look at the growth of our trade and Chinese, we feel hopeful. So I feel good actually.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. But do you share the same optimism like Pak Bambang?
Well, it is an exciting time with China and ASEAN. The foreign minister mentioned that since 2021 or 2020 actually, ASEAN is China's largest trading partner with around 750 billion US dollars. That, of course, is Indonesia also benefited a lot. The relationship is becoming more balanced. That's why last year when the relationship between ASEAN and China is elevated into more comprehensive strategic partnership, the moment now is how can we elevate it further. So we've reached already a trade partners. We have made a lot of investments. The trust is also there. The communications with both leaders, President Jokowi and Xi Jinping, also our ministers, is very intense. Now is how can we build it to a different level and to build on it. The relationship is mutual. It's also, I think, sustainable. It can grow further. So that's why it's always important to remember each other, that peace as partners, to build on foundations that is existing. Bambang is, I think, was mentioning about history. I'm also looking into the history books that before colonialism came to us, we already had a thriving relations in trade, in commerce. China has the Silk Road, but when these traders go back, we call it the spice route.
Spice route.
So it's both and forth, and this is a very a solid foundation. And that solid foundation should be reflected. Now our job at the embassy is that we have to see that it's beneficial to both sides, that it has added value, that it fulfills the priority of our government, which is also in line with what China can offer, and that it can bring prosperity to both sides. So it is very exciting. The speech itself ticks a lot of boxes. And that these boxes are what are the concerns of ASEAN countries and what are the concerns of outside regions. And right there, he's always, the words there is that sometimes that the critics say that these words are more jargons and so forth. But if you look closer, he mentions a lot about ASEAN values, ASEAN, or Asian values. And Asian values is about harmony, it's about community, it's about the prosperity of regions. No one loses, no one gets behind. And it's not a competition. We don't compete here, but we look for mutual benefits. So I guess that's very encouraging, and we are very...
And one of the box that I'm happy to hear is the COD. The declaration of conduct. And that the Foreign Minister Wang Yi also mentioned that there is progress in the what they want to build this code of conduct. Because it's been what, 20 years now?
Well, the DOC is we're commemorating in 20 years. The thing that we haven't followed up with the COC is that we forget also that during the DOC it did not escalate into open violence. So you have to give credit to the DOC is that we still maintain at least level communications. And
but of course we are hopeful that the COC then will become reality.
Yes, realities.
That's a very important note.
That's very important note.
So I would like to move to our sinologist. Pak Yohanes, how do you read this?
Yes, actually, I agree with much of Pak Dino and Pak Bambang's point of view, right? Because it's perhaps can make us more optimistic toward what will be going on in the future, right? I actually take some notes on the speech, and I saw that there are several issues, several points that is delivered by the foreign minister. Like he talked about the multilateralism, for instance, and then about the respect on sovereignty and territory, about the inclusivity, about open regionalism, peace, stability. So these all are the issues, points that we can use actually for negotiation with China, for talking with China in the future. Because China talk about multilateralism, for instance, but we know in the past China actually often avoid discussing the problems with ASEAN as ASEAN, right? But prefer to discuss it bilaterally, right? But I'm not sure what does the foreign minister means when he talk about the, to emphasize the multilateralism, something like this. And then talk about, for instance, about respect on sovereignty and territory, then we can actually use it also to talk about it with China when it comes to some problem, right, with China, perhaps in Natuna and something like that, and also peace and stability. And we hope that the foreign minister, represents China, to emphasize about the peace and stability in the regions, in South China Sea, for instance, and also in when it comes to Taiwan-China relations. But it is interesting that in the Q&A, the foreign minister said that it's not For me, it seems that China would not do something first, yes. Unless that something is trying to change the status quo, right? And I think it's good because then we don't need to be afraid about the 2027 that the people discuss, like in the past that China would take over Taiwan in 2027. But the foreign minister said that what is peace in Taiwan is, what is stability in Taiwan is when there is no one trying to change the status quo. That's what I think. And then, but however, I see that the the foreign minister also try to, to make us see or make a choice, right? Whether you want to be with how do you call it? Like the countries without any it's a non-bloc country, something like that. And whether you are going to whether you agree with this kind of like grouping, right? Like the caucus, like the Quad, etc. So I think I still can see that they try to take us to the to choose our position. I mean, that's what I think. Yes.
Gentlemen,
yes.
I took a very interesting note. Definitely, the speech delivered a lot of geopolitical messages from China,
yes.
right? I took a very important note about the open regionalism. Open regionalism. I'm very interesting to touch about this because Foreign Minister also touched about the ASEAN outlook on Indo-Pacific, right? I think this is very interesting. Indo-Pacific is somehow a little bit, different interpretation in China, right? So I would like to know about your takes about the open regionalism. Maybe, Pak Bambang, you have big smile on this.
Yeah, because for China, maybe Indo-Pacific connotate with the US version of it, because it's kind of like encircling China, and of course China has to react to it, But I think Indonesia, if I'm not mistaken, do not want to be trapped into that. We want to maintain our. We don't want to be part of infighting of other people, which has nothing to do with us, which is our spirit of non-aligned, our dasasila, and our 5 pillars of coexistence.
He was mentioned that also,
And that's to me very interesting that he mentioned that. And then I'm not sure whether this is the first time, but for me personally, this is the first time he said 2 things at the same speech. One is that he support the ASEAN centrality, at the same time talking also about the code of conduct. Because as a journalist, my understanding is, in the old time, that's why we are 20 years we haven't have our code of conduct, is because China in the past prefer to do it bilaterally, as you mentioned, because they are much stronger. But now that both he mentioned this code of conduct is starting again, and that China, I think at least twice, if not 3 times, he said that China support ASEAN centrality. I think this is a new thing.
So do you see the slight changes of China's behavior dealing with?
Yeah, and I hope this is not only talk, but this is a really follow up. I hope Pak Dino will follow up this really
big job for Pak Dino.
Big job for Pak Dino and our Indonesian diplomatic friends that to ensure, because actually I remember Pak Hashim Jalal. This is his brainchild, and if Pak Hashim Jalal and Pak Mohtar Kusumaatmadja had left a legacy of the law of the sea that make it us as the largest archipelagic nation with more than 3 million added territory. I think the next generation, Pak Dino, is to ensure that this code of conduct, because I think this code of conduct is very strategic value. You can imagine if I'm China, you know how many percent, large chunk of my trade goes through this Indonesian slope, the China Sea. And you know, China is not afraid of our, MiG or, fighting ship. Yeah. What they're afraid is if Indonesia is disordered and all these pirates in Malacca Strait run amok like in Somalia, there's no amount of China military prowess can save that. And if they lost security in Malacca Strait and other sea lane of slot, we call it, then their trade is disrupted. China economic collapse. And if China economic collapse, you know what happened when an economic collapse? Look at Sri Lanka. The regime will collapse. So I think for China's authority, it's important that they maintain good relation with ASEAN, because we control the strategic waters of their international trade. But if we can move into the better part of this, actually everybody will prosper. And that's why I think Minister Wang Yi also mentioned a few times, what we want is everybody to be prosperous, right? Have a better life. Because if we have a choice now, he said we have a choice now. Do you want to go where you want to be involved in fighting that involve outside, or we want to work together, everybody happy, everybody getting more prosperous, happier. So of course we want that, And I think in this case, Indo-Pacific, he want to change the narrative into Indo-Pacific. Indo-Pacific should not be a group that exclude China, in fact being used to encircle China, to control China, but it should be an open. We should fight for open, that if the real Indo-Pacific should be China also included there. Not only not like NATO and Russia. Imagine in Europe, if Russia is a member of NATO, we don't have this problem now. And in fact, we will have maybe food price will go down.
Agree with you, Pak. Before I go to Pak Dino, because I want to add some question to you, Pak Dino, go to Pak Johannes about how you read the open regionalism that often mentioned by Minister.
Yeah, actually, I have the same point with Pak Bambang, especially the last point that emphasized that China actually wants the region to be free, right? Free and open from like the like pact, like security alliance or something like that. So,
and then he said that if you have a free nuclear zone, we will sign it anytime.
Free, free nuclear weapon zone, nuclear weapons free zone, right? And I remember, what happens like some time ago with the Australia and the US or something like that, like AUKUS. So I think China also wished that that ASEAN can become the area which is free from that.
So fun. Yes. Is open still valid, Pak? Zone of peace and neutrality.
The nuclear free zone is Shanfiz, Southeast Asian nuclear weapons free zone. Zofan is also still.
But what is interesting is I don't see a tone of like China wants to be the leader of it, because some scholars actually say that China is what is it?
The new hegemony.
Right, and also a normative power, which means that China wants to create a new norm and they become the leader of it, right? But at least the tone is not that, at the moment at least, especially at least in the verbally, China does not show that kind of attitude.
Yeah, agree. So, but it comes, our conversation, it comes to an end because it's a very brief discussion. And after to you, Pak, I want to go to Pak Bambang and also Pak Yohanes. President Xi Jinping has offered new ideas, just like as mentioned by Pak Bambang about a plan of global development initiative and also global security initiative. I took a very interesting note that global security initiative put at the first hand when Foreign Minister delivered the speech just a moment ago. So I want to know about, because you are there in Beijing, how you read this new initiative, the both two initiative, right? And how it could implement the existing of Belt and Road Initiative, and how we as a Southeast Asian should perceive this, right? This is interesting notes and also stress in the speech. And maybe directly closing questions to Pak Bambang and also Pak Yohanes after Pak Dino said. What is your analysis, how to fill in the comprehensive strategic partnership that just entered the ASEAN and China? So let's go to the first question to Pak Dino.
First of all is the GDI, Global Development Initiative. That was launched by President Xi Jinping himself at the UN General Assembly. He mentioned it. So again, with sinology, you have to see the symbolisms there. This is President Xi Jinping himself announcing into the world stage about the GDI and what is his vision and what he wants to do. Basically, it ticks also a lot of boxes for developing countries that has been affected by the pandemic to achieve the SDGs 2030. So what he's saying, look, let's unify all resources, let's focus. Hopefully no countries gets left behind. China is willing to assist, but using existing mechanisms to focus just on the SDGs of 2030. And that, I think Indonesia also was approached by China, and I think all ministries, we came together and say, look, is this useful for us? Is there can we get a lot of benefits from this? And indeed we did. So after that, it's easy for us to be part of it. We are one of the friends of the GDI, and we're on board. And what it looks is like from an outside perspective, it's a much wider scope of the Belt and Road initiatives into much more global agenda, but with a clear-cut what we want to achieve within the existing multilateralism. So I think it's a very good opportunity. And you also have to see where Xi Jinping is coming from. President is that during his tenure, that in 2020. China already has erased absolute poverty in 2020. Wow. So with that experience on a national level, he would want to see whether that China can contribute on a global level. And so we are open to any discussions on how we can benefit from that. That's the GDI. And of course, the GSI also is something that was brought by President Xi Jinping during the BAO conference in Hainan. So I forget. I think it was in April. Again, President Xi Jinping mentioned that because he would want to address the current tensions that we have in the world. Again, we still, for Indonesia right now, this moment, we're sitting down again with of all the many ministries and what are the benefits, are there conflicting concepts and so forth, whether that indeed encompass universal values and so forth, and within the context of ASEAN also. So we're still in the process. I think there's also several notes that we're seeking from China to fulfill, whether that it's complete or not, but we're getting there. And those two concepts complement each other. With regards to the region, we've heard it directly that ASEAN centrality and the ASEAN outlook on Indo-Pacific both have been accepted by China. Yep. And that's also consistent because last year, when there's a leader's statement for the 30-year anniversary of the bilateral China and ASEAN, that was the first time that China acknowledged ASEAN centrality and also acknowledged the ASEAN outlook in the Pacific. Perhaps before, China has some reservations regarding the term Indo-Pacific. You can also see on the Mandarin translations of Indo-Pacific and how it's connected with the strategy of Indo-Pacific. But again, my ambassador Johari Oratwangun, he always mentioned to China that, look, you have to see Indo-Pacific as Indonesia is the one much more committed, relevant to Indo-Pacific because we're between the Indian Oceans and the Pacific Oceans. So the ownership actually belongs to Indonesia because we're more regionally we're more relevant than that. So I guess, well, from that angle, we can convince the working level that it is indeed an ASEAN-led, and also that it was an Indonesian initiative of putting forward the ASEAN outlook.
Absolutely agree. Very important notes from Pak Dino. Pak Bambang, how do you feel?
I want to use my privilege. I'm not a diplomat. I'm a journalist, so I can speak more frankly. Actually, I want our diplomat like Pak Dino and his friends to speak as a friend to China. This policy is good. If you really do this policy, is good. But you have to prove it that you really believe in this policy. And people like me would look at what you do in Hong Kong. If you make people of Hong Kong happy, better life, and so on, you don't have to worry about Taiwan One China policy. Because in Hong Kong, we start the experiment of One China, two system. In Taiwan, you can have One China, two system, right? So if this One China, two system work very well, I think your dialogue with the US in Bali will even grow even better. So please pay a lot of attention, energy, what you do in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a small country, it's not threat to your security. So make it an example. If China has been able to make an example in this beside Hong Kong, right? But now improve it. Now part 2. Make Hong Kong as the example of this policy. I think we will live in a much better world.
Okay. Pak Yohanes?
Yes, I agree with Pak Bambang, as usual, right? But there is one thing that actually we still try to understand about the Global Security Initiative, right? Because GDI perhaps is just like Marino said, an expansion of the Belt and Road Initiative, something like that. But for me, I think Global Security Initiative is something with you, and then some in Indonesia. I mean, the people who are, some of the observers of China actually, are concerned. worry. What will it look like? Will it be like the Chinese military going outside their area and then something like that? Okay, so I think China should perhaps give more clarification about this. And this is what I think.
And it's a good thing that they don't use Chinese military in Hong Kong. Yes. I hope they keep it that way.
Right. Yes.
Okay, for one last questions to all gentlemen. ASEAN and China just entered the comprehensive strategic partnership, right? It's a very good start again, a new chapter, and people are more excited with this new chapter of relationship between ASEAN and China. If I may ask, what is if you can give your observation or suggestions how ASEAN and China can move forward, in the time of recovery after the aftermath of COVID-19, what would be your suggestions? Maybe Pak Dino?
Well, diplomatically, if you say comprehensive strategic partnership before it was strategic partnership, strategic means that we're looking into the forward parts on what are the priorities. By making it into comprehensive, we open it wide into many different fields of areas, not just economy, but politics, social, cultural, and also any other that involves the mobility and the community, and making more of a community. Now, when we say now that we are now the #1 trading partner with China, and that also China is #1 trading partner of Indonesia, it's compatible. We are complementing each other. It's always been complementing each other. And now we have to look into the future, not just 5, 10, but also 15, 20 years. That number of today actually does not reflect the actual economic numbers between China and Indonesia. Our trade balance is still 124 billion. Perhaps it may gradually grow up. But in 5 or 10 years, it should reflect on the economic numbers of each country. Now for this, we need to have a highly intense connections, not just on economy, but resolve any differences, issues in politics, but also in the people-to-people context. Again, the foundation of any relations is the people-to-people context. Governments may change, but the anchor is the people. If the people are not happy with the government, they can change. And so that's why we need these contexts. And we have to remember, relive again our past histories. So with the work that you do, we need to remember again what we forgot in the past. We share the same values between China and Indonesia, or even ASEAN, yeah? The yin and yang, the balance, the elements of nature and so forth. We have that also. So it's unbelievable that if we don't manage this well, and go into new areas of bringing it to another level, then we maybe fall into the complacent and just move back. Digital economy is one thing. It's how we can make the relationship more effective and more efficient through digital economy. We have opened up more doors. We already have the RCEP, yeah? Yep. And we're even looking into upgrading the ASEAN-China FTA again. We're going to upgrade that again. So let's see how we can make the community more livable and beneficial for both sides. I guess that's the overall goals that we have.
Thanks. Pak Bambang, briefly.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm a very big fan of the code of conduct, yeah. So one of the things that I'm very happy to hear is because the Minister Wang Yi mentioned that one of the first China signed is the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation. Yes. If China really, you know, walk the talk of Treaty of Amity and Cooperation, we should be able to finish this code of conduct. And I think if we can deliver on this, yeah, a lot of issue will disappear by themselves. Because the South China Sea no longer the hotspot of conflict, but actually the proof of the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation. Yeah, I think this is such a huge potential. You know, a lot of waste energy can be gone if we could do that. So I hope Pak Dino and Pak Johar and his Chinese friends can really work together. It's starting again last month, yeah, Pak?
Yes,
and can come up with something. Yeah. With this, if we can, if his you know, older generation of diplomat can make Dasasila Bandung, can make, you know, 5 pillars of already. I think it's about time his generation, can make this code of conduct. As an example, because if this work, the Baltic Sea can copy it, you know, and then the other conflict area. Yeah, and you know, it could be a historic like land for peace in Gaza. Yeah, so and we have been able to do that in Cambodia. You remember, Indonesia and French was the co-host of the peace in Cambodia. Yeah, so this is his generation time to prove that he can produce this code of conduct.
Another big job from Pak Bambang. Pak Yohanes, closing.
Yeah, I think. It is interesting, and I think it is also a good future, right? If the ASEAN and China comprehensive partnership can be really implemented. But the problem is, like Pak Bambang said, there are some issues that we still need to resolve, right? Like and it's not just about economic, because when we talk about economics only, right, perhaps we will forget the social issue, the cultural issue, for instance. We have a lot of issues in Indonesian society, like the perceptions about China, the elites or the public. I mean, and perhaps they will change if, like Pak Dino said, the cooperation makes the people live more happily, right? Then it will, or at least it will gradually go there. Then it will change a lot of issues. I think this is one of the things. And the second is, can we do that? I mean, and like what I said earlier, I mean, I'm happy to see that there is no tone of leadership from China. And I think with ASEAN and China partnership is conducted in equal level, right? Then China do not want or does not want to be in a higher position. Then
not hegemonic.
Not hegemonic again. So yeah, I think it's going to be good in the future, right?
Thank you. Gentlemen, as you know, Foreign Policy Community of Indonesia in the past 2 years have been conducting an independent survey on ASEAN-China relationship, and this year we are entering the 3rd year. And I'm very happy as the program coordinator, gentlemen, to say that in the past 2 years research, we can see the relationship has been very productive.
Yeah.
The appetite of Southeast Asian people to deepen the relationship is there. And we spot a very interesting observation, gentlemen. It's about the ability of compartmentalizing issues between us. Yeah. Right? Okay, we're good in this, we need to settle down in this spot. And all of them are productive and moving in a very productive forward. So this is very interesting, and this year we're currently are doing the research again, sir. I hope the result of the 3rd edition could be much more, give more policy recommendations to make the relationship much better. Again, thank you very much. It has been a very great discussion, 30 minutes, but a lot of meat, what the young people says. But I think it's very nice. Thank you a lot, Pak Dino, all the way from Beijing. Pak Bambang,
thank you.
Thanks a lot. Stay tuned with more activities from Foreign Policy Community of Indonesia. Follow and subscribe to our email, to our YouTube channel, to our social media. A lot of things that FPCI has. Thank you very much. My name is Calvin. See you next time. Bye-bye.